A prison is no place for heroes. No spotlights, no applause, just mistrust and fear. But why do world-famous boxers, men with fame, money, and power, end up behind bars? How can someone who seemed invincible in the ring lose everything in real life? Was it wrong decisions, inner demons, or a system that lets its champions fall after their glory fades? Today we begin with stories that hit harder than any knockout. Top 1. Clifford Etienne. Clifford Etienne was a man who knew the ring and didn't shy away from the fear within it. In an era where heavyweight boxing thrived on raw power and big names, Etienne racked up 29 wins in 35 professional fights. He wasn't a superstar, but a fighter who got to compete against the greats. Names like Mike Tyson and Nikolai Valuev stood across from him. For many boxers, that remains a dream. For Etienne, it was reality. The year 2003 changed everything. Mike Tyson wanted to revive his career, and Etienne wanted to prove he was more than just an opponent. But the fight ended brutally fast. One round, a knockout. Clifford Etienne became the last man Mike Tyson ever stopped professionally. A historic moment, but one that forever linked him to a defeat. After his final loss to Nikolai Valuev, Etienne ended his career. 29 wins, a solid legacy in the ring. But outside of boxing, he lacked support. On June 22, 2006, the final downfall came. Etienne was arrested for armed robbery and kidnapping. According to the indictment, he robbed a store and then stole a vehicle containing a woman and her children. The verdict shocked the boxing world. 160 years in prison, later reduced to 105 years. A sentence with no prospect of freedom. Today, Clifford Etienne is in prison, a man who once fought legends and now fights against time itself. When does a boxing match truly end? With a final bell or only behind prison walls? Top 2. Carlos El Tata. Baldomir. Carlos El Tata. Baldomir was a boxer who was never considered a prodigy, but earned everything through discipline, toughness, and endurance. In a career spanning 71 professional fights and 49 wins, he developed into a man who was nearly unbreakable in the ring. His greatest triumph came in 2006 when he defeated Zab Judah, securing both the WBC and linear welterweight world titles. On that night, Baldomir reached the absolute peak of his life. His success didn't seem to be a fluke. Shortly after, he faced Arturo Gatti and stopped him by knockout in the 9th round. By then, Baldomir was part of the world elite. He stood toe-to-toe with Floyd Mayweather Jr. for 12 rounds, holding his own, something few could claim. He also entered the ring against Saul Canelo Alvarez, showing he wasn't afraid of any name. But after his career ended, the slow decline began. Without the rhythm of training and the structure of professional sports, Baldomir increasingly ran into conflict with the law. Eventually, he was charged with severe sexual abuse of his own daughter. Despite numerous inconsistencies and controversial discussions surrounding the trial, he was sentenced to over 12 years in prison. Today, a former world champion sits in prison. A man who once defeated champions now fights daily for survival behind walls. Can fame truly vanish so completely once the ring is left behind? Top 3. Felix Verdejo. Felix Verdejo was long considered the great promise of Puerto Rican boxing. Early on, he was called El Diamante, the Diamond, a nickname that seemed to perfectly describe his career. With only 17 professional fights, he won the WBO Latino lightweight title and defended it 6 times. His record grew rapidly, and his future seemed set. For many, it was only a question of time until he would fight for a world title. By 2020, Verdejo had completed 29 professional fights, winning 27 of them, 17 by knockout. Power, speed, and aggression made him one of the most dangerous boxers of his generation. But then came the turning point. In his last fight, He lost the WBO international title fight against Masayoshi Nakatani. No one suspected that this would not only be his last defeat, but also his last appearance in the ring. Shortly thereafter, his pregnant partner, Keishla Rodriguez, disappeared. A few days later, she was found dead in a lake. The main suspect, Felix Verdejo himself. The news shook not only Puerto Rico, but the entire boxing world. A man who was considered a role model suddenly found himself at the center of an unthinkable crime. Verdejo was arrested and has been in prison ever since. At one point, even the death penalty was a possibility. Now he faces life imprisonment. The former diamond of boxing now lies shattered on the ground. How could such great talent lose everything in a single night? Top 4. Policarpo Diaz. Policarpo Diaz was one of the most talented boxers Spain ever produced. In his prime, he was considered an exceptional natural talent, fast, explosive, and fearless. His career started impressively, 32 consecutive wins, undefeated, a record that brought him directly within reach of a world title. For many experts, Diaz was not just a hopeful, but a sure future champion. The decisive moment came in 1991 when he fought for the world title and faced Pernell Whitaker. It was a high-level duel, but Diaz lost the fight. This defeat marked a turning point. Although his final record included 47 professional fights with 44 wins, he was never able to fully stabilize his career again. Especially outside the ring, he lacked control. After his career ended, Diaz gradually lost everything he had built. Money, structure, and direction disappeared. Instead, he plunged deeper into violence, street fights, and legal problems. His name no longer appeared in sports headlines, but in police reports. According to the Spanish portal Marca, Policarpo Diaz was eventually sentenced to 2 years in prison. The reason? Repeated abuse and physical assault against his former partner, acts that allegedly occurred between 2018 and 2021. Today, a man sits in prison who was once considered the pride of Spanish boxing. A talent that never learned to defeat himself. Is a boxer's most dangerous opponent sometimes not the man in front of him, but the one within himself? Top 5. Rodolfo El Gato Gonzalez. Rodolfo El Gato Gonzalez was a name that commanded respect in Mexican boxing. In an era where competition was brutal and uncompromising, he consistently stood in the ring with the world elite. He fought Roger Mayweather at a time when Mayweather also competed against legends like Julio Cesar Chavez. Gonzalez wasn't a boxer for fleeting headlines, but a man of consistency. 4 times he challenged for a world title, even if the great triumph eluded him. Nevertheless, his career was impressive. With 89 professional fights and 81 wins, he was one of the most active boxers of his generation. He was known for his toughness, experience, and willingness to take on any challenge. He even gained recognition outside the ring when he participated in an American film production. For many, his life seemed stable, his name untouchable. But after failing in his last world title shot, the decline began. Losses, disappointment, and the loss of a clear perspective led to decisions that would change his life forever. In 2007, Gonzalez was charged and convicted of double murder. The verdict was 42 years in prison, a number that stifles all hope. Today, Rodolfo El Gato Gonzalez spends his days in prison. There, he teaches other inmates boxing, perhaps as a last attempt to give back to the sport that once made him great. How can a man who survived in the ring fall so deeply outside of it? These stories reveal a harsh truth. In the ring, boxers are celebrated for their strength, but outside of it, they are often alone. Fame fades, money disappears, decisions remain. What connects all these men is not just their talent, but also the moment their lives spiraled out of control. Boxing shapes fighters, But does it also prepare them for life afterward? If these fates have moved you, then show it with a like and subscribe to the channel. Here we tell the stories you don't see in the spotlight.